Lesson 2 on how to take notes. I wanted to get a little more specific with what those notes should look like. So, continuing on with the article on my site, www.ryanmwalters.weebly.com, there's a link there on a WikiHow article on how to take notes over a textbook. And again, continuing on what that can look like, do remember you're paraphrasing the information. That's why I recommend a bullet point fashion. You're not just rewriting everything there, you're summarizing it. You're taking the key points. So you can bullet point. They give you an example of recreating a timeline of events, adding visual elements, again, drawing it for yourself, utilizing any kind of graphic organizer, again, is outstanding. I wanted to show you some examples of what those can look like. So here's some Cornell notes. Cornell notes, you always start with an essential question. You then go from there to outline the information in the middle of the notes there. You then go on to ask questions along the side. So if there's things that you don't know, if there's questions in the textbook itself, align those to the outside and see if those don't help you actually answer the questions that you're looking for, or help you find the information that you're looking for. If you can't go back to your notes and these questions are not being answered inside your notes, then you might need to go take a second look at your notes and make sure that you put all the key information in there. It also helps keeping you active in the notes process. Again, maybe you can't find the answers to these questions. These are great to then take to class, to your teacher, or go back in the textbook and say, look, these are still questions I have. I don't fully understand this question, so I need to keep digging deeper. It's a great way for you to continually look at yourself and make sure that you understand things as well as you should. Then at the end of every chapter, you summarize it with some summary statement. These are just some basic outlines. Again, if you went through Microsoft Word and you did like a paragraph outline, what would that look like? One, subpoint A, subpoint B, that type of thing. So again, I think most of you would know how to do a basic outline, but again, an outline gives you the opportunity to synthesize information, to take a lot of information and sum it up in a quick way, which actually just doing that helps you retain what you're reading. And here's another example of what that looks like. Again, I think most of you would be very familiar with that simple outline. I did want to show you some others, though, that you might be interested in as well. I've heard this called word mapping, where you put key points and then you put kind of legs off of them or make a web. And then you add on what's the important things you need to know about that key person or event or whatnot. So I think that if something that appeals to you, that might be a way for you to look at doing notes. There's also just the dual page notes, where you, on one side, you put the key terms, events, people, place, things. On the other side, you put the definitions, or explain why it's important. I think it's a great way to study for quizzes. I think it's a great way to make sure you know that basic information. The only problem I have with this is you need to be sure that you're constantly asking deeper questions about what you're reading. Now, if you wrote that on the left-hand side, maybe you also have questions on that left-hand column. I think that can be effective. You just want to make sure that you're constantly digging deeper into the reading material. So going further, when you bring those notes to class, you need to make sure that you're continuing to add to them. That notes aren't just something that you're doing because they're required. That notes are something you're doing to keep everything that you're working on in one place, that you continue to add to it. So then when you come to class and there's a class lecture, if you have some things in your notes and it's repeated, or you're studying with a classmate, highlight it, underline it. Know that this is a very important part of information that you need to have there. Also, if you are listening to a lecture from your teacher and you don't have something there, add them to your notes at that time. It's great to keep everything in one place. It's also very important to be reviewing these notes. Again, if you do a good job with this, it's something you can come back to again and again and again. And by the time that you're done with the chapter or you're done with the unit, you should have a great set of notes that you can go back to and utilize for a unit test or even a semester test at the end of the year. One last thing I want to talk about as a way to use your notes is making flashcards. I mean, this is, people have been doing this for decades on just studying for tests. It is very important that if you don't know certain key terms, if you don't know the key events, you have to make sure that you know exactly what those things are in a way that to identify them. I think that using flashcards as a way to quiz yourself is a great way of doing that, because again, it's hard to go deeper in the information if you don't know the terms. This is a great way to study for quizzes. It's a great way to begin the study process for a test. Again, I think that it does help you with the basic information, but again, when you want to get deeper, I think it's great to look at discussion questions. I think it's great to try to see if you can answer the review questions at the end of the chapter. I think it's great to read back over your notes and see, do you remember all of that? I think it's great to partner up or group up with someone else and ask each other questions and compare notes to see, did they write things down that I didn't? Um, do do they have questions that I don't know the answer to? I think all of these are great ways to utilize your notes, as a way to study for the test. Um, Again, your notes will be as effective as you care to make them. Um, I think it is very important when you're reading something as large as 1,000 page page textbook, that if you're not actively engaging with the textbook. And by that I mean taking notes, critically thinking, really thinking ahead, asking yourself those deeper questions, trying to summarize the material, trying to build a timeline of information, really trying to see, are you seeing themes throughout the reading? Are you seeing some cycle that something seems to be repetitive in what you've been reading in history? If you're not doing those things, it's so difficult, to be able to come back several chapters later and remember that information. And also, I mean, of course, as someone that loves history and hopes that you get a lot out of it, you're not really going to get what you can from the course if you're not doing that type of thinking at a deeper level. Again, history is so much more than just knowing facts, on just knowing, people, places, things, and events. But if you don't know people, places, things, and events, you're not going to see the bigger themes. You're not going to have those major takeaways. You're not going to learn the true lessons that come, from studying history. So, both for an academic purpose, for making a good grade on the AP exam and passing the class, but also in a much deeper way to really get out of history what you can, you have to first know those facts. You have to, get them to memory. So you have to memorize them, and then you're going to have to dig deeper. That's what I hope to do with those discussion questions. That's what guiding questions in your textbook are attempting to do. They're trying to get you to dig deeper beyond just those basic facts. I hope this was helpful. And again, that's something we'll be coming back to throughout the year. So, hope you all have a good rest of the day, and you'll be hearing from me soon.